Hello everyone. Today we are going to see an interesting SQL interview question, average vacant days. The strategy team in Airbnb is trying to analyze the impact of COVID-19 during 2021. To do so, they need you to write a query that outputs average vacant days across Airbnbs in 2021. Some properties have gone out of business, so you should only analyze the rentals that are currently active. Round the result to whole number. And there is an assumption section given. Is active field equals to 1 when the property is active and 0 otherwise. And the second assumption is, in case where check-in or check-out date is another year other than 2021, limit the calculation to beginning or end of 2021 respectively. And the third assumption is, listing can be active even if there are no bookings throughout the year. Here are the tables that are given in our question. We have bookings table which has listing ID, check-in date and check-out date. And here is our sample data that is given. For various listing IDs, we have check-in and check-out dates. And we also have listings table which has listing ID and is active flag. Here is our sample data. We have the listing ID and the corresponding is active flag. And we have to output the average vacant days. The property 1 is rented for 8 days. So it is vacant for 357 days. The property 2 is excluded because its is active is set as 0. Property 3 is rented for 12 days. So it is vacant for 353 days. The average vacant days in 2021 is 357 plus 353 divided by 2 is 355. So we have written this as our output. I hope the question is clear. Now let's get into the implementation. The first step is to find out the list of properties that are currently active. In order to do that, we have to join the listings table and the bookings table, and we have to use the filter condition is active equals to 1. Let's implement that. Select star from listings table. I'm aliasing it as L. And I am joining with bookings table. I am aliasing it as B on the common key that we have between this table is listing ID. L dot listing ID equals to B dot listing ID. Here I am using a left outer join because some properties might be in the listings table but there is no rental transaction, so it may not be in the bookings table. So in order to include all the properties, I am using a left outer join. Now we have to use the filter condition where L dot is active equals to 1. Let me run this. We got all the properties that are currently active. If you see the data, the checkout date is not 2021. If it is not 2021, we have to limit the check-in and checkout dates to 2021. Let's do that. I am using a case statement. Let me do that. When checkout date is greater than 12/31/2021, I am limiting it to 12/31/2021. Else I am printing the checkout date. Similarly, if the check-in date is less than 1/1/2021, then I am limiting it to 1/1/2021. Else I am printing the check-in dates. In order to find the total number of rented days, I'm subtracting the checkout date from check-in date. So I'm subtracting checkout minus check-in. We got the difference of check-in and checkout dates of different hotels. In order to make it meaningful, I am also selecting the listing ID. L dot listing ID. Now let me run this. For each properties, I got the listing ID and its corresponding rendered days. Some of the listing IDs has more than one transactions, so I am summing it up. Let me do that. Sum of the rendered days. I am aliasing it as rendered days. I am grouping it based on listing ID. Group by L dot listing ID. Now let me run this. We got all the listing IDs and the total number of rendered days. The property 4 is null because there is no booking transactions. The next step is to find the number of vacant days. In order to do that, I am subtracting 365 minus quals of this rendered days. If it is null, I am converting it to 0. Now this will be my vacant days. I am changing this as vacant days. Now let me run this. We got the list of vacant days for each property. The property 4 is vacant for 365 days because it was vacant throughout the year. Now the last step is to find the average vacant days. Let's do that. I am creating this as a temporary table. I am aliasing it as vacancies with vacancies as our query. I am selecting this table, select star from vacancies. Now we have to find the average vacant days, average of vacant days. Let me run this. We got the average vacant days. In order to remove these decimals, I am rounding up this result. Round off the average result. Now let me submit it. The average vacant days in 2021 is 351 days. Now let me submit it. The solution got accepted.